Hello, family.
Hello, Resilienters. What's
Yeah.
up? It's Sunday, the day of soul saving for your grace. Ah!
Yeah.
Yes. Miss Dawn, what are we talking about today?
Guys, we're going to tap into and talk about disappointment and hurt today, guys. But before we do that,
Ooh.
I just want everybody to think on their day to day. How have your day been today? Um, I want you to sit back, take a deep breath, and chime in if you like to talk with us. It's a heavy topic today, I say, because this is what we have to deal with uh, to become more resilient, to be whole and part of your healing process, um, dealing with the disappointment and the hurt that happens in your life,
Okay.
whether it's from people,
Oh,
physical things, events, it happens.
it does.
Yeah.
It's a part of life. It's a process, but it's not a process that goes in vain. It determines on you how you choose to handle it thereafter,
Mhm.
but it doesn't
Mhm.
go in vain. So let's get into it. So, okay, disappointment. I took time to do what the definition is. It says to fail to meet the expectation or hope of, the act of, or an instance of disappointing, the state of emotion of being disappointed. Now, hurt is
Hold
basically
on.
you're
Let me
inflicting.
hold on, Britt.
Go
Let me
ahead.
read a
Yes, ma'am.
definition of disappointment. It could be sadness or displeasure caused by the non-fulfillment of one's hopes or expectations.
Patience.
To dig a little
Amen.
deeper. All right, go ahead, sis.
So, hurt, you're wondering how do don't they coincide? Yeah, they do. Because a lot of times when people become disappointed, they start inflicting hurt upon themselves and others sometimes. Now, hurt is like you want pain to be targeted towards a person, whether it's emotional, mental, physical, financial, spiritual. How can a person hurt somebody spiritually? Oh, it can happen. It can happen. And that the sad thing about all of it is the most common disappointment is of our expectation types of disappointment. There are three: preferences, ego, and values.
Mhm.
How does this work? Okay, preferences. Okay, for instance, you have a certain type, you have a certain way, your house is messy, your favorite team is lost, you failed a task. That's preference. Ego is insult, criticism, and false accusations. Those are just examples. Values is like respect, affection, trust, kindness, security. Now, if you notice, there are again three different preferences of disappointment. Preferences deals with or perceived as an ego threat, where it's sparking retaliation, which also violates values. Emotions begin, which is a no win war when it comes to the ego defense, and it goes against our values. So if you're a person that normally tries to do the right thing, and trust me, I hear this all the time, and I'm guilty of it myself. I'll put myself on the plateau. I was a good person, always doing right by a person, despite how they come to me, how they treat me, how they interact with me. I'm gonna do the right thing. But then when a person becomes fed up and enough is enough, then that trigger hits. Now my ego hits, and here it is. Now I'm wanting to insult, criticize, and not necessarily make false accusations, but point out the accusations and make accusations. Then when it starts going against my value of, okay, I want to respect this person, I want to show them that it's better out there, I can't do that. It's not necessarily my job in a sense, unless God gives me the discernment and confirmation that you drop a seed, you move on. Sometimes we drop a seed and we stay, thinking, well, let me keep working with this person. And then now guess who's disappointed? You are. God is not disappointed. He know how we are. He know how we interact. He know how we conflict. He know that we're dealing with flesh first, spirit man later. So now we deepen our violation and deepen our values in defense of the ego, guilt, shame, anxiety. Did y'all know that disappointment also causes physical ailments, sicknesses, stress, fatigue? And the more we dwell into it, the worse it becomes. Now we're held in resulting in self-contempt and a tendency to act out against our longevity for the best interest. How can I find out about this information? Psychology Today. We do not own the informational rights to this, but this is information that we've searched and want to share. And you know that disappointment is more than just emotion, like I said it earlier. It's a physical thing, and it goes so far, like I said, to the adrenaline. Have you ever noticed that when you become disappointment, you either cry profusely, get angry, wanting to do some hurt or any type of form of retaliation, you wanting to do these things, and that's stimulated by that. So you have to be mindful. Now, a lot of times it's not necessarily, unless you're dealing with a spirit of offense, then you're easily triggered. And as I've learned, if you, a person that can be easily triggered, you can be easily manipulated. So who's really causing the disappointment? Is this something that you know right off? Of course not. This is something that you have to learn of yourself. How do you do this? Start paying attention to your reactions, because every action does not deserve a reaction, especially emotional. And then it comes as a ball. It's like a cancer. It gets one, it gets two, it gets three. And what does a cancer do if you don't get a hang of it or whatever? It grows. And that's where the disappointment starts to erupt into ego and preferences and values. And it starts taking away your demeanor of who you truly are in your heart versus how you counteract on the physical aspect. There is a process that you can do that. And it's a process. It goes along with depression and anger and everything else. The process goes, you're in denial, then you have anger. After anger, you start bargaining with yourself. Now, while you're bargaining with yourself, here comes depression. And finally, here comes acceptance. How does that all interact? You're in denial about the fact that you are being emotionally disappointed because you had high expectations and hopes in a person, certain place, or thing. You become angry because they didn't follow through with the expectations and hopes that you had. Now you're bargaining. What could I have done differently? Well, what if I did this? Or what about if I did that? And we do this as people, especially with relationships with others, whether if it's a love relationship, interest, a family member, a friend, or whomever. Then we go into depression because now we feel like the world is against us and there's no coming back from it. Lies. Now you come to the conclusion you've accepted what has taken place and all the expectations that you placed on it, because a lot of times what happens is, and we make this ultimate mistake, you cannot expect the you out of other people.
That's good.
That's where we're failing. Yes, because once you accept it, now you're entering a new reality. Now, it's on you whether you take that new reality to become good or to become worse. I wouldn't advise you to become worse, and I'm not saying you do, but people tend to do these things because they think that there's a way that they could get back. No, we advise that you journal these triggers. Miss Dawn says it every time. Oh, please take heed to what she's saying. Journal, make it plain. Write it down and make it plain. Journal all the things that you want to improve. Pay attention to what triggers you. You want to get a handle on that. Because if somebody catches that, again, they can manipulate you in a way that you don't even want to go there.
So let's back up
Now,
a little bit.
when you do this journaling,
let's back up a little bit. Let's take this a little bit deeper than that. So disappointment and hurt. Let's take this more relational.
Yes.
So you probably been friends with someone for a very long while, and then boom, they do something that disappoints you. That's not satisfying to your friendship and what you thought your bond may be. How would you deal with that? You feel the bubbling up in you, the hurt, you feel the pain, you feel betrayed. So,
and I'm glad you brought that up.
Don't bottle it. I wouldn't say don't bottle that in, but take your deep breath, reflect, and go talk to that person after you took in your deep breath and you reflected. Because you too don't want to cause what you're feeling to reflect in that conversation to come
exactly
up with a resolution to your friendship.
Exactly.
We wanted to take that on another turn just to be more relational, so we could tap into those feelings, the feeling of being wrong or feeling of that hurt that's feeling, to go with that disappointment, because you felt like you've been let down or you've been wronged.
Right. When you say that, there are steps for that. And what you just said was acknowledging your feelings, not to reside, but stay in your feelings for that moment to acknowledge what you're feeling. Then that's when you start working through the trauma, because now you realize where your feelings stand and how you've been wronged, or if you were right. However, you work through that trauma. And then you start doing self-examination, which AKA psychologists say shadow work, which you're doing self-examination of yourself. Step one, we realize that this is how I feel. You realize the conversations with that friend. Now, for me, because exactly what you've spoken of, I had a friend, I won't mention her name. We were closer, very close. And I got a promotion for a job, and she felt that she should have gotten it. I didn't know that. I noticed when I told her about, I got the job, it was, oh, okay, well, good for you. It was like that. And I was like, Now, I've been there every step of the way. When you went through this, through that, I congratulated you. There was no ill will. But then I had to remember, I'm not her and she's not me. As time went on, when it was time to pack up, she was nowhere to be found.
Oh, wow.
When other people came around to help out, then she would do the bare minimum. But she would talk against the city I was moving to. Oh, it's boring and this, that, and the other. Okay, that's your opinion. That's fine. But then when I found out how she truly felt, I've been around you for 6, maybe 10 years. And this whole time, you have had some ill feeling towards me because of who I am, which you have to realize it's not who I am, it's the God in me that you're going against. He promoted me, he elevated me, he exalted me. So as I tried to sit down and talk with her, she became more volatile, rebuttal. And then it was, oh, I hope you fail. Oh, I hope your marriage, this, that. I mean, just blew me away. I was like, oh, so we're now seeing how you really felt. Now, was I angry? I was definitely angry and hurt. I stayed in it. I wrote. I prayed, and I didn't really pray for me. I prayed for her because I kept her cool, and I was
Yeah.
proud of it. Let me rephrase. I was happy because I kept her cool. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't allow it to get to me. Now, then when she turned, then the husband turned because what he felt to realize is if I'm blessed, that means we're blessed. It's no I necessarily, it's us. Whatever I receive that God blesses us, it goes to the family. But you're too busy looking at how God does it and how he speaks with me and how that's the relationship between him and I. You have to build a relationship with him.
Gotcha.
But then you retaliate against me and spread rumors and do certain things. Was I disappointed? Of course. Because as my husband, you're supposed to be my covering. And
Right.
God covers us all. But here it is, you're showing me that we're not a unit, but we're individuals just
Mm-hmm.
living amongst each other. So
Mm-hmm.
now I come to realization of myself. I married out of God's will. I married somebody who I was in denial that I was not even yoked completely, that I didn't even seek God to ask or wait long enough to find out if this is who I'm supposed to be with. So there goes the shadow work. Now I'm creating a plan, but I'm praying and I'm writing and asking God, what's next? What do I do? How do I go from here? How do I manage? And then that's when God starts giving me the vision, the sermons, and giving me, his thoughts on things. And then now I got to, last but not least, practice that every action does not require a reaction.
That's
Doesn't mean
good.
that you're going to perfect it. Oh, no. Do I still get a little disappointed? I do. But is it to the point where it tears me down, it breaks my soul, or it hurts me? Or no, it just gives me an inclination of, okay, so I see this, I did that, I've seen that, I've done that. Yeah, I'm not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So now I go into immediate prayer. So when you go through this, it's God's call for humility, knowing that we can take our anxious and disappointment and expectations and all these things to Him and
Mm-hmm.
trust in His perfect timing and His plan and His prophecy. You
Mm-hmm.
have to believe, grieve, pray, listen, and wait. Let me stay there for a second. We are people that are very, I want it now, I want it now, I want it now. We're popcorn mentality, we're microwave mentality. We have to stop that. It's not an easy task. You have to steadily practice this every day to listen, to wait. When you say listen and wait, when you have that time, all you need, my apostle said today, if you pray one time a day, push it up to 2 times. If you pray 2 times a day, push it up to 3 times. It don't matter where you are. You can be at work. You can go in the corner. You have a lunch break. You have 15, 30 minutes. You can take that 15 minutes of your 30 minutes to pray and ask God. Or you can take your whole 30 minutes. Or if you get an hour, do your whole hour. Pray and talk to God. Write down, journal. But listen in a quiet essence and wait for Him to give you the answer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then you start searching for the good. Within that disappointment, what I learned is that one, people are all not going to always be happy for you. They're not going to always want your best interest for you. They may convey it out of their mouth, but in their heart, they might have a secret vendetta.
Mm-hmm.
And be that as it may, that's human nature. Jealousy, envy, wanting to have what you have. And this is another thing we have to be careful about. When we're wanting to have what other people have, be
Mm.
careful of that, because guess what? That's another disappointment, because you're going to find out within that wanting, you don't know what they went through to get to where they got to.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
You will never know. And then when you start experiencing these disappointments, well, baby, you asked for that. Now you're going through what you're going through, and now you don't want it anymore. Sorry, that was part of that process, but you're about to get it 3 times worse. And then you have to believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Counteract, practice. The disappointment is not necessarily bad. It allows us to find and understand our purpose and bringing clarity, making you realize how grateful for what you have.
Mm-hmm.
How grateful. And
Mm-hmm.
then with that, learn to forgive yourself.
That's the key. Forgiveness.
Woo-hoo.
That is key.
If you don't forgive yourself, sweethearts, that's a hindrance.
That
That
is key.
that can hold you back from so many things. Forgiveness triggers from disappointments, from having high expectations, from putting people on pedestals.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
got to stop doing that. If you want to put someone on a pedestal, God, Jesus, and the most prominent of our importance of our being, the Holy Spirit Himself. Yes, sir, the
Mm-hmm.
Holy Spirit Himself. We have
Mm-hmm.
to forgive, accept yourself, accept one another, let go of always. And this is another thing that I had to learn, let go of wanting to always have to be right. That's self pity. Did y'all know that was self pity? I did not know that. I did not know that it's self pity that and if that person is always agreeing with you all the time, that's not being a true friend. I'm just gonna be straight up and honest. If you don't have someone,
Mm-hmm.
I'm pointing over that door. If you don't have someone that's in your corner, I'm like, how about looking from a different perspective? Well,
Yeah.
no. How about this? Well, you're right, but let's look at it from a broader standpoint. That's a friend. That's a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that's not willing to correct you because they want the best for you. Let go of the spirit of retaliation.
Oh,
All you're doing is
oh.
hurting yourself.
Vengeance is the Lord's, y'all. Vengeance is the Lord's.
Okay? Seek Him first in the kingdom and add all the things that are added upon His righteousness will be added unto you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry
Mm-hmm.
if I didn't quote that correctly, but Matthew
Also
six
brings
thirty
me
three.
to Ephesians 4:32. This brings me to that verse. Um, Make clean. So y'all, I'm reading from the Message Bible. This verse real fast. When you want something in the raw, um, just to understand it a little bit more, read from the Message Bible because they bring it to you that way.
Oh,
Uh,
ooh,
it
baby,
says,
will it?
make a clean break with all cutting, backbiting, profane talk. Be gentle with one another, sensitive. Forgive one another as quickly and thoroughly as God forgave you. That
Okay?
forgiveness thing
Every
is real,
day.
guys.
Every
It's
day. And we
real.
seem to forget. I hear people all the time, Dawn, what am I to forgive them for? They did it. But God forgave you. I'm
Yes,
not
and
going to
that
speak to
forgiveness is
them.
for
But
you.
God speaks to you. He woke you up this morning. Why not give Him the utmost? Now, I'm not
Hmm.
saying that, we get so caught up in our flesh that we forget these things. We do. We do. And like she said, rid of the anger. Trying to and stop trying to maintain power and control people. It's not for you. Because a lot of times you end up getting that power, and guess what you do? Abuse it, take it for
Mm.
granted. Now you're hurting other people, and then this is what I don't understand. And again, I know, disclaimer, I know people are not like me, but there are people who are like-minded as I. When you do things and your mentality is, I'll deal with it later, who said that you might see later?
Mm.
Who said that you will have the ability to deal with it before God deals with you?
Mm.
And you all know, if God puts His hands on you, it's
Yes.
not an intercessor, it's not a prayer, it's all going to have to come from you.
Mm-hmm.
But also understand that on a spiritual level, the world is what the world does. They don't have any remorse. They don't care. They will chew you up and spit you out and feed you, and you will
Mm.
let them. You got to learn that who you are and whom you are, because if not, you will always be disappointed.
That part.
And then focus on the benefits of forgiveness versus holding on to the anger. Realize and take note of who you are when you're angry versus who you are when you're forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Then you realize I'm not as sick as I used to be. I'm not having these problems as much as I had. Yeah, you're still going to go through and understand when people say, oh, you're a Christian, you say, look, we're Christians. Yes, we are. We profess, we proclaim, we receive it, we bless it, give God all honor and glory. But don't think that because we're Christians that we're supposed to let you walk all over us. He didn't say be a fool. He said take caution, put on your armor. That means if somebody steps on your foot, don't leave it there for them to step on it again. Move your foot. Just step back and take a look at yourself and tell God thank you. It's
Mm-hmm.
easier said than done, but it's not impossible.
That part.
It's
That part.
not impossible.
And she tapped into
Oh,
it there, guys. Know who you are and whose you are, because we got our infamous Romans 8:28, and we know that all things God works together for the good, of those who love him,
okay.
who have been called according
Okay.
to his purpose.
His
But you
purpose.
gotta read that end part. He got us, but you gotta be for him. He got our back. So remember whose you are, especially when you're going through that disappointment and that hurt. Um, so it doesn't make you backtrack, you know, make you
Right.
um, go back
Backslide.
there. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
And yes, God is. And I hear people, oh, but God said he's married to the backsliders. Yes, he
Yeah.
is married to the backsliders, but that does not excuse the fact that that's an excuse you to use. That's like saying, well, God knows my heart, but you're going to go intentfully do something with your heart to hurt someone, and then you expect some type of favor?
Remember, when you know better, you do better.
Okay, daily.
You
So it's
know.
like an onion. Take that onion
So there.
and every day take a peel, take a peel, take a peel, whatever it is, whether it's your anger, disappointment, your failures. Look at all those beauties though. For what comes from failure is beautiful.
Yes.
And you are beautiful and you are handsome. You got this. You can do this. There's no way that it can't be done unless you choose not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no
Mm-hmm.
way. So
Mm-hmm.
believe in yourself, believe in God, acknowledge your feelings, grieve,
Yes.
cry, scream, shout, pray, listen and keep quietness.
Yeah, 'cause that
Don't
hurt and
bring thought
disappointment is
to
real.
you. Okay? Search for the good. Search for the good. Let it go. What they say, let go, let God.
Mm.
Pay it forward.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, with this, even generational curses can be broken. I
That's
mean, it's nothing impossible with God. Who's bigger? Your problems, your disappointment, your anger, your issues, your situations and circumstances, or God? Who created? Who's the Alpha? Who's the Omega?
mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful. It
Mm-hmm.
is beautiful. It's a process. And I've been posting hashtag process to progress.
Mm-hmm.
Come
It's
on.
So just remember, guys, my takeaways with disappointment and hurt, it helps you, whether you believe it or not. It helps you grow. It helps
Yes.
strengthen you, um,
Yes.
make you better, well. It helps prepare you for God. We're not saying the next time, or for someone else that goes through that. You can give your testimony, and you can be there for that person. Um, So let that help mold who you are, help grow you, help strengthen you, so you can fulfill your purpose here on earth. Um,
Look, and guess what? Not only does it help you and it grows you, but you become what? More resilient.
yeah.
Yes, that's what you look forward to. You become
Yeah.
more resilient, and you're looking at two soldiers who have had dismay, who have had their hearts broken, who has been through tragedies unknown to men, friends, family, whatever, dealt with certain things, secret cries, whatever, what have you. We've been there. Not saying we've been through all, but we've been there.
Right. Right.
It's a
Mhm.
telltale all. Telltale all.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes. Um, so just trust you, you know, believe in you, believe in God, and lean in, on Him.
Ooh,
Cry it out, y'all. If you
faith,
got to shout it out, cry it out, do it. And like Britt
faith.
says, I'm a firm believer in journaling, writing everything down. It helps get it out.
Have
To
that
me, it
faith,
helps cleanse. You
that
know,
now faith,
yeah,
that now
yeah.
faith, not tomorrow, not last week, the faith that is required from you right
Mm-hmm,
now.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It is. So we just wanted to chime in a little bit about it. It's a lot of it happening in the world right now. Unfortunately, it's a lot going on in the world right now, and I know it's probably
It
a topic
is.
that's going to touch you, your family's lives. Um, but just let it strengthen you. Let it
Yes.
encourage you. Let it empower you, to move forward, to come together as one, to keep loving, keep forgiving, and you will come out on the other side. You
Yes, you
will come
will.
out on the other side.
You will. It'll be able to cope better than what you have ever thought you could ever cope before.
Hmm.
Ever. Ever.
Yes. So, guys, we thank you. And yeah, this was a tough topic to chew on, a little thick, but we want you to learn to deal with your disappointment and hurt, so you could grow, so you could empower, so you could be more resilient.
Amen.
Because it helps form you, it helps shape you, and it will help get to your purpose, or to fulfill your purpose while you're here, um,
Amen.
in this journey called life. You know. So we thank you guys. Please enjoy the rest of your Sunday. It's a wonderful day because God woke you up, you breathing, so that means you got
Okay.
purpose.
And be careful out there. We know it's Labor Day. We know you're going to
Yeah.
be at the Blues show. We know you're going to be at concerts, but it's raining in certain places. So you'll take your time, be responsible, um, take accountability, and keep it safe. And the monkeypox and COVID is still out there running rampant. So don't keep your hand sanitizer, face mask on. And for those who choose not to, that's your life. Just don't play with other people's. But be careful out there.
That's great, guys. That's great opinion. If I trust in my God, guys, it is what it is. But just stay well, stay safe, and stay
Very,
resilient. Stay resilient, guys. We love you. And until
very
next
much.
time, guys. Peace out. We love you
Pray,
guys.
pray. Love
Yes.
you.
Y'all see that, right? Pretty girls pray too. All right, y'all.
Okay.
Be blessed, family, and stay resilient, guys. Be safe out there. We love you.
Love you. Bye.